Hello friends, welcome back. In the last video, I showed you how to connect with MySQL database. We created this applications.properties file to connect with the database. In this case, I want us to run this application. So once you run this application, you will start seeing the application logs. So as the application starts, Java application has to build, and then is when you will see the application starting. So in this case, I want us to see the logs. OpenJDK 64-bit server. This is just a warning. This is not a major error. It's a warning. So if you see it, don't be worried, your application will start. So you can see that the Spring Boot version is 3.3.5. so you can see that Spring Boot service application, I am using Java 17. No active profile set. We shall come to Spring Boot profiles. So you can see finished Spring Data repository scanning. It is scanning my repository, no repositories, 0JPA repository interface. I have not yet defined interface. Tomcat initialized with port 8080. I told you that Spring Boot has got embedded server, which is Tomcat. We defined a property server.port 8080, and there is where the application will start. So if we scroll downward, the start completed, and then we can see that the Tomcat started on port 8080. So our application is up and running. So the first thing that I want us to do is to create the Java classes or entities. Those are equivalent to database table. I will go inside the entity. The first entity so that I am creating is called account. So the other, so it is .java. So inside the accounts, I will define several fields. The first one is private integer account ID. The other field that I will define is a string, is an integer again, private int account number. The other property is a string, private string account holder name. The other property is private double balance. All these are data types. Then the other one is private string account type. The other one is private local date time created at. So in this case, let me import local date time, and also this account type I like using camel case. Then I think there is a typo or what. Then all these fields I have to create getters and setters for them. In Spring Boot, you just right click in your IDE. I think this IDE support creating of generate, right click generate. So in the generate, I will select getters and setters, these getters and setters. So it will generate the getters and setters for me for this particular code. So basically, integer is a data type, string is also a data type, double is also a data type, string is also a data type, local date time is also a data type in Java. Don't know why it is not generating getters and setters. So I will generate all this. So I am generating them manually so that I can teach you a very important concept. So you can see all this code up to this point. This boilerplate code can be eliminated. That is why we added a dependency called Robux. So Robux help us to eliminate this boilerplate code by just using annotations. So we can use at setter and at getter. At setter, we can also use another annotation called at getter, and all these are coming from Rombox. So we import them from Rombox. Then we also have another annotation for creating a constructor called or args constructors or args constructor or args constructor. This one is also coming from Rombox. And then there is last one called args constructor, no argument constructor. So no arguments constructor, no args constructor. So I will also import this from Roblox constructor. Import class. So to map this to a database table called account. So I will have at table annotation. This at table annotation will go into the database and create a table called account. So it will map this account class to a database table called account. Then I will annotate this with at entity so that when I run, this class will be mapped to a database table. So at entity, let me import this. So the moment you put at entity, you will see several errors here. So in this case, you can see there is an error here. Account should have primary key. So I need to have a primary key. A primary key in the database, those who have a look at MySQL or other database, a primary key is a unique identifier of a database table. So every database should have at least one unique identifier of a row or of a row. So in this case, I will annotate with this with at ID. This at ID marks this as a primary key. So I will also, this is imported from Jakarta.persistence. So once I create an account, this ID, I want this ID to be automatically generated with an auto increment value. So I will define a property called at generated value, and here I will define a strategy. I will call it generation type dot identity or auto. So this one will generate automatically. So this is my first Java class. The second Java class that I am going to create is called transactions. New Java class. I will call this transaction. So I will call these transactions. So by default, this will create a class called transactions, and I will have several fields. So the first field is private int transaction ID. The second one is private int account number. Then the other one is private string transaction type, which can be deposit, withdraw, then private double amount, and finally private will define a local date time. We'll call it transaction date, the date when this transaction happened. So those are some of the fields that I will. So since I have explained all these in the account class, I will just copy and paste them here. Those Rombox properties, and also this one for primary key. So the name of the table will be called transactions. And having done that, I am done. I think I am done with this. Now, if we go to MySQL database, you will find that there is no table. The table is empty. But what will happen if I run this Java code? It will go to the database, connect with the database, map these entity classes to database table. Let us run. You can also use a dependency called Spring Dev Tool, so that whenever you make a change, it picks those changes automatically without the need of you restarting your application every now and then. So let my application build. Today, don't know why it is so slow, but it will eventually build and map this database, these Java classes to the database tables. So adding assertions, so following up on the background task. So the Spring Boot has started. You will see the logs. So are familiar with these logs. So carry pull starting. This is connection pulling for JDBC. So Hikari pull started MySQL direct. So you will see the application will start. Tomcat will start on port 8080. Once the Tomcat start on port 8080, then you know that your application has started. Tomcat started on port 8080. Therefore, if we go to the database and refresh this database, refresh this, there is this button for refresh. We'll see now we have two database table. We have account and transactions. Account, there are several fields that have been mapped. These are column: account ID, account number, balance, created at, account holder name, account type. So Java create these for you. Then we have transactions, and all these are the columns, the database field, the Java classes that have been mapped into the database table. So I think this video was useful to you. Please subscribe and let us meet in the next video. Bye.